Let me do a little bit more of a reading in relation to this. Now, I'm 100 pages from the end. 343, I think there's 440. 441. Now, obviously, I am very aware that all my videos, I'm speaking to myself. I'm thinking out loud. I'm actually just thinking out loud. That's what I'm doing. Thinking out loud is beneficial because it enables our consciousness to reabsorb what is being thought. So we can think some things, but then when we hear ourselves saying these things, and so the words come out of our mouth and then go back into our ears, then we have a reiteration of the message. You see, this is why saying things out loud with conviction is extremely important, and writing things down, because you are actually relearning it. When you write it down, you are reading it again, you are doing the same thing, you are reiterating. And so I'm just in a constant state of reiteration, of ensuring that I'm firm in my convictions. And it's very, very apparent and evident, and always has been for these past 16 years, that very, very few of my viewers remotely comprehend what I'm saying. And it's not just the comprehension, as in the cognition of what is being said. It's the filtering through to the feeling of what's being said, and then it's the emanating of the thoughts and the feelings into a manifestation which becomes a part of the collective consciousness. You know that you are all that there is, and you know that you are feeding the Akasha, and the Akasha feeds you back. So everything that we do, people, is a loop. It's a constant loop. Whatever we say to people, whatever we do, whatever we consider we teach or learn, it's all a loop. It's all coming back on us, because there is only us. There is only one. And for people to get their heads around it, they have to have a very substantial conscious shift. And these conscious shifts don't come about all at once. They come about incrementally, because if they came about all at once, well, that would have a devastating effect on the ego. We can have deep and profound realizations, shocking events that do come about all as one, and they are profoundly earth-shattering, and they do leave us in a perplexed stupor for a long time, i.e. the dark night of the soul. So I've been on this journey, and this book here says the way of the heart. That's the first section. The way of transformation is the second section, and the way of knowing is the third section. But the whole book is premised and steeped in instilling within the reader that we are God, we create our own reality, we are effectively all that there is, and the fiction of our false thoughts take us out of the realm of God consciousness, of the truth that we are. You see, the human existence is a fiction, and it's a very interesting fiction. It's very complex. There's a whole bunch of activities to get involved with the human fiction. We go through all different sorts of relationships and trials and traumas and tribulations and all these different sorts of things. So it's entertaining at the very least, isn't it? The human experience. What does it mean ultimately? Well, you're God before you began, and you're God when this whole earth sojourn is over. So what does it mean ultimately? Nothing more than entertainment. You are you when you go to see a movie. When you come out the movie, you're still you, aren't you? You know, you have a few more resident thoughts which you've acquired via the movie, and maybe you have a temporary emotional state which is a residue left over from the movie, but you're still exactly the same entity coming out of that cinema as you were when you went in, which is pure cosmic consciousness. So here there's a heading, and it says, you and you alone create your tomorrows. And so it says in other places, you and you alone create your reality. So your tomorrows, your reality, your todays, your so-called past, whatever. It is you. You are creating it. How are we creating it? You could say, I'm not creating the war in Ukraine and this and the other. No, you are creating how you think about it, how you feel about it, and anything you may opine about it. That's what you're creating, you see, because we can get lost in the, I'm not creating that building out there, I'm not creating that plane crash that just fell out the sky, and all the different sorts of things. You are creating your perception about those things. Whatever you think and feel about them, that's what you create. And there's nothing outside of you, is there? You may think there's a plane crash, you may think there's a war in the Ukraine, but they're all in your mind, aren't they? Those things are in your mind. Have you experienced those things? No, you haven't. So why is it that you are so emphatic and insistent that they are a reality just because somebody has told you, just because another facet of yourself has told you? So the thing is, people, if you're going to grasp where I'm coming from, then you have to be deeply philosophical of mind, and you have to have travelled a long journey, and you have to have absorbed an enormous amount of information and had a vast amount of experience. Because what I'm conveying isn't stuff you can just pick up from reading a few pages. And so you will make of it what you will this present time in your personal evolution, and maybe you will think and feel that it's been of benefit to you, maybe you won't. I'm just going to be reading the highlighted headings, and this one here is, you decide which thoughts will influence your life. Well, that isn't true by any stretch of the imagination, because we don't decide where our thoughts come from. So you can see that these books, they're trying to be of help and assistance, and yet they are so far flung from any semblance of intelligence and assessment of this thing. You decide which thoughts influence your life. Well, I mean, I'm speaking to you now, and I have a flow of thoughts, and I haven't got a single clue where these thoughts are coming from. And there's never been a person on the planet that's lived ever in existence that knows where their thoughts are coming from. All the top scientists and brain surgeons and neurologists or whatever, they haven't a clue what thoughts are. They are an epiphenomenon which apparently manifests from the brain, but they don't even know what the brain is, they don't know how it works, they don't know what consciousness is, they don't know anything, people. They just live in a fiction of their own conjuring, and anything that's been imparted by somebody else, which has just pulled some shit out of the air. And then they go, oh, well, there seems to be electricity in the brain. We call them neurons, and neurons seem to pass over synapses, and we think that's where information's getting passed. And what is information? What are thoughts? Nobody has a clue what a thought is, or where they come from, or ultimately what they mean. And so we are just bathing and basking and wallowing in a constant influx of ideas, just ideas. Ideas about this, ideas about that, ideas about black holes, ideas about the speed of light, ideas about gravity, ideas about life after death, ideas about life, ideas. Nothing outside of ideas, people. That's why some very, very intellectual philosophers were very steeped in the philosophy of idealism, where they knew that everything was just an idea and the so-called world is Maya, it's just a fiction. There is no reality to it, because if you take away the concept of book, what is left? Take away the concept of blue, what is left? Take away the concept of square or rectangle, what is left? Take away the concept of heavy, take away the concept of material, take away any single concept that you can project onto this thing, and then what is there? Well, if you can't label it, then there's nothing. If you can't label it, there's nothing in existence. It doesn't weigh anything, it doesn't feel like anything, it doesn't contain anything, it's not made of anything. You see, we can deconstruct this construct on many levels, and we can do it from the top to the so-called proverbial bottom. And what do we find? We don't find anything. We think, well, there's kind of like energy here. What's energy? What do we know about energy? Well, you know, we don't know anything about energy, people. We don't know what this so-called energy is, where it derives from. And there's varying sorts of energy. There's supposed to be like a gravitational energy. Then there's the electromagnetic energy. And then there is this sort of conscious living life force energy. And then there was the intention energy. Goodness me, there was all these concepts again for energy. Well, what is energy at the end of the day? You see, this is what I'm doing as a philosopher. I'm looking into all these things and I'm finding nothing. I'm finding nothing, people. Nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. Well, I mean, if a meteorite falls out the sky, have I called that to myself? I don't think so. I don't know why I would. And so, could I put any veracity on that? I think, no. You must be speaking more loosely, more broadly, more philosophically, because if you start to narrow things down, then all this stuff falls to pieces, doesn't it? Again. So, nothing can occur that you have not called to yourself. What do you mean, called to myself? You see, we have to look at these words, we have to look at the language. Nothing can occur, nothing can happen that you, the body, I suppose it's the body, have not called to yourself. Well, I mean, if a hurricane occurs, did I call that to myself? No. Well, what did I call to myself? I called to myself the response, but is the response deriving out of the self? What is the self? We can't find the self. Look for the self. It doesn't exist, people. So we fall... These notions and concepts, they fall through our fingers again, don't they? Because, well, you are stating as if the self is something real and you are something real and definable. Well, what is you? You can say me, well, what is me? Me isn't the body because we say my body. Me isn't the mind because we say my mind. Me isn't consciousness because we say my consciousness. So what is the me then? What is this essence of me? and then we get lost for physical things to be attached to, and we go spirit, yeah, the invisible thing, because we know that this is all fiction. So then we create another fiction, and we go, oh, an invisible thing, we call it spirit. That's me. Well, what's that invisible thing doing in you then? You call it you, but then you call that you, and then you say that that you is in you here. Well, which you is you? That's what I'm asking. Is the body you? Is the mind you? Is the consciousness you? Is the spirit you? Is God you? Is the cosmos you? Are the atoms you? Is the energy you? What is you exactly? You see, we can't find it, can we? We can only accept something at a certain level which satiates us, which placates us from our insanity. Because if we just go, oh, me, the body, yeah, that's it. If we all pretend that we're me and we've got a body and we've got a spirit and I'm different to you and all that, then we can get along like a house on fire, to be fair. You know, there'll be no nonsensical philosophical debates which just wrap us in a riddle inside a mystery, inside of an enigma. There won't be any of that going on. We can just go back to sleep, and we can go and do our jobs, and we can go and acquire our paper money, and we can go and buy our illusory food, and we can pretend that we love, and all these different sorts of things. One fiction on top of another, people. One fiction on top of another. How to dissolve the power of fear? Well, the same as we dissolve anything else. Because you're always talking in this book, fear, 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 and fear is not real. And then you say the only thing is real is love. Well, why is love any more real than fear? If you feel something that you consider to be called love, well, that seems real to you. If you feel something that you consider to be called fear, well, that seems real to you. So why are you splitting hairs? Why are you saying only one side of the coin is real and the other side is not? That doesn't make any sense to me. So these things are so flawed. Human thinking is so flawed. Can you see where I'm coming from, people? How to dissolve the power of fear? Well, if you can dissolve the power of fear, then you are saying that fear is power. What sort of power? Let's have a look. How to dissolve. You dissolve something. So first you're inferring that this fear is dissoluble. You are stating that the fear is a tangible thing which can be dissolved, like I suppose water in heat can be dissolved and evaporated into particles that we can't discern with the human eye, that we call mist. So is that what fear is? I don't think anybody would conclude that that is what fear is. Fear would go, fear is like a thought. Well, how can you dissolve the power of a thought then? How do we do that? Okay, so the thought comes in our head and it seems all imposing, it seems powerful. How can we dissolve that? Well, we just don't believe in it. Because everything's being is a belief, well, we just don't believe in it. You see, if you believe that Satan is going to get you, then you'll terrorise yourself for the rest of your lives. But there's plenty of atheists around which don't believe that, and they live very, very free. And so you can look at them and you go, well, how? They're the same as me. What's the difference between them and me? They're living free and they're enjoying their lives. I'm terrified of this horned beast with a cock and a pussy and tits and the red face. And he lives in the ground in the fire of Gehenna. And he's everywhere. And he's making us do bad things. Oh my God. Really? Where did that stuff come from? Oh, it came from writers like fucking Milton and Dante, fucking over 1,000 years ago. And then what, we keep believing it, do we? We keep believing these things that make us afraid? Or what's happening? Just thoughts, aren't they? So thoughts, we traumatise ourselves with our thoughts. Well, what about love then? We're making ourselves feel really nice and cosy and protected and safe. Conjuring up this other fiction of love. What's the difference between love and hate and love and fear? Nothing, just thoughts in the head, people. And thoughts in the head seem like they create chemicals in the body. What's the difference? Nothing. So it seems to me they're the same thing. So let's just say that fear and love are two sides of the same coin. What is that coin, people? The coin is thought. So there is only thought. What does thoughts come from? Well, supposedly come from mind. Well, that's just another concept. What does that concept derive from? Consciousness. Well, consciousness, another concept, and a thought and an idea. What does that derive from? The cosmos, God, an idea. Yes, there you go. You get in there. So ideas just manifest out of ideas. And if we can say that ideas is all that there is, like idealism, idealism is just like a conglomerate of ideas. Ideas within ideas within ideas within ideas, like Russian dolls. So, well, this is just a soup of ideas then. Yeah, or it's just one idea, it just keeps morphing into another idea. It's just like a shape-shifting idea of itself. And so, when we start to think about things, people, you can see why people have considered that this realm is Maya. There is nothing here which is remotely deemable to be true. There seems to be something here because consciousness is here. There is something having an experiential thing. And so, well, we can diminish and we can dissect and we can pulverize and we can dissolve all other things into pure energy. And then we can say, well, energy, you know, is only a figment of our imagination. And so we can dissolve everything. That's the power of human consciousness. We can dissolve absolutely everything. So we dissolve absolutely everything into nothingness, into the abyss, which we don't comprehend remotely. So that's too terrifying for us. So what we do is where we go to the obverse. We go to the other polarity of pretending that we know everything and we understand everything, because that makes us feel much more comfortable. It creates our fiction, and we're very, very happy in the fiction, because at the end of the day we've got two choices. Either we're going to be happy in the belief of the fiction, and we're going to be just like regular drones, just milling around. For what purpose? Who knows? Who knows? But then you get someone like myself who starts to look at the cracks in everything, and then starts to investigate and starts to discover, well, they don't know anything. They're not thinking really in any real meaningful terms. When you do start to think in meaningful terms, then you crack the nut of this thing and you realise that it's all a dream, because dreams of their very essence, they don't even need energy. A dream doesn't need energy. It may be considered to derive from energy, because there may be considered a brain and a mind that needs to dream, but I don't think that's the case. The idealist philosophers wouldn't think that's the case either. Consciousness just is, and it doesn't need any energy because we don't even know what it is. So how can we say it needs energy? So therefore then, consciousness can dream about energy. It can create the fiction of energy in its brains, in its fiction of its brains, and then we all get to thinking, this is solid, this is the book, these are words, and this is true, and all of this complete and utter nonsense. Nonsense from the beginning to end, people. The doorway to greater God consciousness. What's that? The doorway. It's kind of like a pre-noun or a presupposition or something. You know, when we say the, well, what? Well, it's just a word that leads on to another word. It's kind of like an entry word. And so what does the mean in its entirety? In itself, nothing. Nothing at all. It's just kind of like a finger pointing. And then we go, what? What? What are you pointing at? The. So you see what I'm saying, people? Interesting, isn't it? Doorway. Doorway. Oh, we've got a concept of a doorway. It's something you pass through from one smaller dimension into another dimension, which are in other dimensions. And so really there's no dimension inside any other dimension. But it's just an illusion because we seem to be passing in and out. Just let's pretend that we're passing in and out through doorways, yeah? Okay, so you're passing through doorways to greater God consciousness. Well, what do you mean, greater? Greater, I suppose, bigger, more expansive. The doorway to more expansive God consciousness. God and consciousness seem to be synonymous with each other. So why don't you just say consciousness? Or isness? Well, because we like to use words, they sound better. And when we say God, well, God is the all-powerful, omniscient, omnipotent, and ever-pervasive. Oh, well, that, you know, ooh, we conjure up all those thoughts when we say God, then it means all that. But it means so much to so many people all over the world, and I don't think there's a general consensus on it, to be fair. So what really does it mean? What does God mean? Anyone seen God? Anyone known God? Anyone touched God? Oh, we are God. We are God. Well, you said that you're me, you're an I, you're a human, and you're a sentient being, and all this sort of, well, what are you really? Well, we're all those things, but within God. So what, like you're in the mind of God? Well, could be. What, like a dream of God? You see people? Wow. I'd love to speak to some of these idiot religious people and just run rings around them. Just make them look absolutely ridiculous. Not for the purpose of making them look ridiculous, but the purpose of just making them just realise the futility and the fantasy of the dream that they've been basking in all of their lives. Just to, I don't know, just to pop their bubble and go, ha ha ha, you was thinking that you was a preacher and there was a God and you've got a church and you've got your little flock and ha ha ha. I suppose it's very devilish. To want to go round to pop everyone's illusion, delusion, maya, bullshit. Why do I consider that's important? Well, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it. There's someone for everything in this dimension, and I suppose this is my job. Freedom is love under all conditions. Why? Why is freedom love under all conditions? What do you mean by freedom? Freedom of what? Freedom of the fiction of this book? Well, then I just go into the nothingness. Then I'm free. I'm free of all your bullshit concepts, that's for sure. Freedom is love. Oh, okay. So, freedom is love. Well, didn't you say that God was love? Didn't you say that Jesus was love? Didn't you say that we are love? Didn't you say that the cosmos was love? And now you're adding another one and you're saying freedom is love. Well, I'm going to go quite a few steps further than that, people. Because it appears to me that these people haven't got a fucking clue what love is. They haven't got a clue what freedom is. They haven't got a clue what anything is, to be quite frank with you. They're just assuming that they can put a conglomerate of words and concepts together and they will mean something to you. Well, these words don't mean anything to me because I see them for what they are. I just see them for a bunch of jumbled up fucking symbols that don't mean anything. Unless you are deluded or hypnotized into believing, considering that they do mean something. Language doesn't mean anything. Language just means language. Words just mean words. Words just mean concepts. Concepts are language, and we go round and round and round and round and round. So if we look in the dictionary for what any single word says, you will see it means other words. And then if you follow that lineage, if you say, red means it's a colour, then you go, what does colour mean? It's the description of shades of light. Oh, okay, then you go on that. And then you go, what shades of light? Oh, they're the spectrum of the colour of light. Or the pure white light, there's a spectrum. There's actually 6 colours within the spectrum, but Isaac Newton stuck on another one because he wanted it to be the spiritual number of 7. But in actual fact, there's only red, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and indigo. But Newton stuck on the 7th one, violet. Well, you look into the rainbow. I've counted these stripes, and I've gone red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo. What? I can't see 7 distinctive colours. No, because there never was. So how many people are under that misconception? That there's 7 actual individuated colours that come out of the spectrum of pure white light when shone through a prism. How many people realise that's bullshit? So freedom is love under all conditions. Oof, I've been looking for this love. I really have. And I can't find it. But I've found some sort of notion of freedom, and freedom is being free of bullshit. Freedom is being free of concepts and notions and language and all those things that construct the fiction of this reality. So freedom as an idea is vastly more important and poignant and substantial than God, because I've never found God. I've never seen God. I don't even know what God means. What does God mean to me? Well, God is everything, and well, isn't conscious everything? Isn't the dream everything? Isn't the cosmos everything? Aren't thoughts everything? Well, you see, this God thing, I don't know, it doesn't do anything for me, nor does love. Love's the same, it just falls through your fingers. You look for it, you can't find it, you analyse it, it doesn't exist. And but does freedom exist? Well, if we relate freedom to an empty mind, when we go into the deepest of meditations, then we don't know we have a body, we don't know we are an I, or we don't think we're an I. We're not a human being, we're not on the world, we're not in the cosmos, we're not anything, people. When you go into the deepest of meditation, there is zero there, save for awareness. Awareness of what? Awareness of awareness. That is all that there is, awareness of awareness. And then, when our consciousness comes back online, we're aware of the body, we're aware of our surroundings, we're aware of our thoughts, we're aware of notions of God and devil and things like that. And all of a sudden, we build our world when we open our eyes and we collapse the probability of the wave function as per the Copenhagen double slit experiment. Consciousness collapses the probability into something which appears to be substantial. You see? Unloving thoughts alter the chemical balance of your mind. Well, on a level of the fiction, then if we're looking at, say, like psychology, then there is a certain veracity to that. Because our thoughts create our reality. So if we think that everybody is a threat to us, then we're going to feel fear-based inside. So if we're feeling that everyone's a threat to us, then they're not loving thoughts, are they? They're not all embracing thoughts. They're very protective thoughts. They're very dividing thoughts. It's like, you all stay over there because you're a big threat to me, to my safety. So they're not loving thoughts. And so you can see, well, the chemical balance of your body is altered. Because the brain is going to be going, hang on, if there's all that fear out there, well, we better release some chemicals so you're able to deal with it. What chemicals do you release, brain? Apparently cortisol. What does cortisol do? Well, it momentarily sends a vast amount of energy to the outer extremities of the body, so it can protect itself, so it can engage in the fight or flight syndrome. But when this cortisol is being dripped into the body, eventually it drains the body of the energy, and so then it defeats the initial objective. And so this fight or flight thing is only valuable to you for the first maybe 30 seconds before the adrenaline rush becomes overwhelming and exhausts the body. And so we can see how this happens when you have a lion chasing a gazelle, and the gazelle is filled with this cortisol, which enables it to bolt as fast as it can to save its life. But then if it is caught by the predator, then it all goes limp because it's absolutely exhausted, and the body's gone into this like a state of dissolution. It just kind of like dissolves into this limp thing, and you can't even see an expression in the animal's face, and you don't even hear the animal squawking or fighting for its life. Then there's a resignation which has come about, you see. So all these wonderful things that it enables the body to pass from this dimension into the next without pain, because I'm pretty sure also there will be some sort of pain relief hormone which is administered to the body, so these animals don't feel that pain, because they don't look like they are feeling pain. They're not squealing, they're not writhing, they've accepted their fate, haven't they? There's something in nature which just triggers when you've got a jaw around your throat and your body knows that you ain't escaping this. Well, it closes down and it assists in the death. The world will mirror your thoughts and beliefs. So it's a projection, you see. The world is a projection. It's not like the world is mirroring our thoughts. The world is our thoughts, because we are projecting our thoughts onto everything. And whenever we see something, we're going to project a thought onto it. Like if a bus drives by, I'm going to project in that there's a drone driving the bus, like Johnny Cab. There's a Johnny Cab drone driving that bus. What purpose do they have in this life? Why did they come to this dimension? To drive buses for other drones. Why are there these drones? Well, these drones work in factories which produce things for us enlightened beings. Oh, okay, cool. So it's a very good job that there's these drones, Johnny Cab drivers and all that sort of thing to create these books, and so people like me can read them and then talk about them to pass their time, to pass their fictitious earth sojourn. Thank you, Johnny Cab drivers. Now then, I've highlighted a little bit here, a few paragraphs. What must I believe previously for this effect to be showing up? Okay, what effect? For instance, if it is regarding money, if you have no money, well, at what you have believed, well, look well at what you have believed about money in the past. Especially look to see what were the beliefs about money that my parents held. What were the beliefs of your significant others, your parents, your teachers, and your friends, and this, that, and the other, because they are going to be telling you, imparting to you what they think, and maybe if you're vulnerable and susceptible and gullible, you'll be taking on those thoughts without having thoughts of your own. So then your world will be being created by other people's thoughts, right? For indeed, as we have touched on before, each soul drops, in a sense, into this world through the context of the parents. There is a context of perception, belief and attitude that you begin to be coloured by, because you are accepting that coloration into the field of your own energy as a means of making contact with the world and emerging into it. So you go to school and teachers colour your world, your parents colour your world. What do you mean, colour our world? Well, they're giving you ideas which you then project out onto the world, and then you create your world from your projection of your ideas. Maybe they're not your ideas, maybe they're your teacher's ideas, your parents' ideas, your friends' ideas, the television's ideas. That is the case for most people. They don't have their own ideas. They don't think about things themselves. That's why they still believe in the illusion, because they don't know that they're building the illusion. They're projecting the world from their thoughts and from their consciousness. You see, people? Live in that question, beloved friends, and begin to apply it to the whole of your life. You are creating your reality from your thoughts. Begin to look at your life. Look at the effects you experience as your surroundings and your context. Are you alone, with no lover or friends? What have you believed about the world previously? Well, you see, I ringed this certain part because this bit is kind of like poignant to me. It says here, live in that question, that people have imposed things upon you and and it's your thoughts that are creating your reality. So live in that question, beloved friends, and begin to apply it to the whole of your life. Begin to look at your life. Look at the effects you experience as your surroundings and your context. Are you alone with no lover or friends? What have you believed about the world previously? Well, I believe that the world is Maya. I believe that the so-called human beings, which are Maya, are idiots, and they are not spiritually awoken, they're not intelligent, they don't think for themselves, they don't know what it is to think, the vast majority of them. And so, well, what's the point in me going out there, mingling with them? I'd be much better off to read something from people who have deeply and profoundly contemplated on something, even though lots of this stuff in here is completely erroneous as far as I can tell. At least people have thought about it. At least they've got some sort of consistency with 440 pages of a message that they want to convey. Now, I could take that on board, and if I did take it on board, then I would be all loving. And everything would be love, and this camera would be love, and that tapestry would be love, and these fucking hairs on my head would be love, and the pages in the book would be love, and oh goodness me, everything's love. I mean, it's so loving, and it's so love. What the fuck is love? What the fuck is love? But I could hypnotise myself in that way, just as the same as I've hypnotised myself in the other way, saying that all that bullshit out there is not worth fucking engaging with. Well, what have I done? I've just created my reality. Is that a real depiction of what I consider this fiction to be? No, it's just one idea. It's one idea. I am adopting a certain persona which likes my little cave. I like to be alone. I like to have the time to contemplate, and so it's much easier for me to do that if I decry the outside world. Because if I didn't decry the outside world, I would always be thinking that I was missing something from the outside world, and so I wouldn't be reading books, I wouldn't be making videos, I wouldn't be doing all the things that I'm doing. I'll be out in the outside world talking to Johnny cab drivers and talking to drones which operate supermarket tills and things like that, and then I'll be asking myself, what am I getting from any of this? I'm getting nothing. They're all robots, they're all drones. There's nothing of any interest. There's no philosophy there, there's no psychology there, there's no spirituality there, there's just deadness there. Why do I want to be out in that? Well, now and again you'll find one that's kind of interesting to talk to, yeah, but how many do I have to filter to find that one? I may as well just pick up a good book, right? You see where I'm coming from, people? So, you do that. You look at how your world is, you look at how your thoughts are, and you can see that your thoughts have created your reality, down to the fucking T, down to the splitting of the atom. Your thoughts have created your entire world. So, if your thoughts have created your entire world, your thoughts are your world. What are thoughts? Thoughts are consciousness, or the expression of consciousness. So what is your world? Consciousness. Is there anything else outside of consciousness? No. It's just your thoughts in consciousness. So is the world Maya? Yes. Am I a real boy? No. Is life a fiction? Yes. Karma does not exist in unconditional love. Oh, let's have a look at that. Karma does not exist. So they're saying that karma does exist, but karma doesn't exist in unconditional love. Where does karma exist? Karma exists when you do something in the world. Now, when you do something in the world, karma, you see, is like the Kantian cause and effect. That's what karma is. There has to be a cause for an effect. So karma just means action and the result of action. So every time we act, we have an effect on the so-called world, and something, you know, moves. The butterfly effect, you know, we've all heard of that one. And so if a butterfly flaps its wing, oh, goodness me, there's a fucking hurricane on the other side of the world. But here, what it's getting at, and this is where it's really trying to indoctrinate the reader and hypnotise them and, you know, gather cult members. And it's not like it's a cult that you go to any church, because you don't go to any church with this cult. The cult is the cult of love, the cult of the fiction of love. That's what the cult is. It doesn't pertain to any religion or any church or anything of any substance, other than God, the notion of God. But then God and love and consciousness are so interchangeable, well, they don't mean anything in the end, you see. So karma does not exist in unconditional love. So if you have unconditional love, you're all loving and everything's love and there's nothing else. So that's why karma doesn't exist, because there is nothing else. Hang on, where have I heard that before? If there's nothing else, what else has this book said that there's nothing else? It's only God, right? It's all God, nothing else but God. Okay. Consciousness, right? Nothing else but consciousness. Spirit, okay, nothing else but spirit. And so now you're saying unconditional love. So what about conditional love? Oh, that's not real love. No, because that's on conditions. On the condition that you come here, that you give me that. Oh, so, well, that's pertaining to karma then. That's pertaining to doing. That's pertaining to giving and receiving. That's pertaining to the Kantian cause and effect then, isn't it? Yeah? So, well, we can't engage with karma. Why would we engage with karma? Why would God engage with karma? Why would consciousness, why would spirit engage with karma? They wouldn't, because there's no existence there. There's no fiction or fantasy. There's just isness of the idea of God, of the idea of consciousness, of the idea of spirit. Just ideas. So how can ideas be affected by karma? They can't, can they? So you see where it's going, people? You see what this book's doing? I told my therapist that this religious stuff, this spiritual stuff, is potentially very, very destructive. Because what these books are saying is that don't believe in anything. There is nothing that warrants your attention save for love. And then you look for what love is. Well, love means God and love means consciousness. Well, So I'm just supposed to devote my whole life, my whole earth sojourn, creating a fantasy, a feel-good fantasy within myself, because it doesn't explain what love is. It's just talks about love, 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 and we're supposed to know what love means. So I'm going to come to this in a minute, people. Love, 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 love. That's all it's fucking said, but it's never said what love is. Other than it's just alluded to that it's God and Spirit and it's everything. Oh, well, they're just concepts, aren't they? Concepts born out of language, born out of imagination, born out of the fiction of the human existence, which is all born out of the notion of consciousness. Yeah, all roads lead to Rome, people. All roads leading to the abyss. Just like Nietzsche said, look into the abyss long enough and it'll look back at you. So this is looking into the abyss, people. Thinking is looking into the abyss. When we think in a linear, logical, deductive way, well, we end up in the abyss. There is no avoidance of ending up in the abyss, in the black hole of the abyss, because there is, in actual fact, nothing here, save for the abyss. Karma can be transcended. Okay, well, how do you transcend karma then? You love. You love, you love, you love, and you love. Oh, okay. It seems like we've fucking got a stuck record here, because everything's just love, love, love. You were born to create. Okay, born to create. Well, doesn't creating create karma? And you don't seem to have an adherence or a respect for karma, because you're saying here karma can be transcended. So why would we want to create? Because by the very act of our creating, we'll be creating karma, and then what you give out comes back. It has a knock-on effect. So what are you saying? You're going round in circles. You're trying to make me go insane. You're trying to fool me. I can't be fooled by your nonsense. I'm vastly too awoken. I'm the cosmos. You silly little fucking text written by silly little people. You were born to create. Okay. The difference between creating and making. Oh, well, what is the fucking difference? I've not come to this part. This is the chapter, lesson number 30. I've not read, but I'm just going to read a few of the highlights. Abiding as love in each present moment. So just be in love and just loving. Okay, well, what is this love? Are you making or creating? I don't know. Are they the same thing? Just different concepts? Just different arrangements of symbols we call words? I think you'll discover that if you looked in the dictionary, making, then the next explanation would be creating. And if you looked at the explanation of creating, then it'd be saying things like making. So there is no fucking difference. Fucking hell, people. Life's a fucking joke. Exercises to observe your choices and choose again. Choose love. Don't choose karma. Choose love. Just choose love. Okay, so that's the end of that one, right? So okay, you've been banging on about love for fucking ever. It seems like an eternity. What the fuck is love? What the fuck is love? You can't tell me what love is. So I have to think for myself then. I suppose I've got to think for myself then. In your 400 pages, you can't tell me what love is. You've been banging on about it for fucking ever, telling us it's the only thing that's worthwhile, it's the only thing in existence, nothing else matters, it's love, love, love. Oh, what is it then? Is it me, people? Is it me? What about you? What do you think love is? Oh, love is, love is, love is. What the fuck is it? Follow the lineage back to where we think love comes from. You think it comes from the fucking heart, just this beating muscle. Boom, 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 boom. Read some science. Science will tell you you're a fucking idiot if you think that. Why has the whole fucking world been thinking that for 2,000 years? Because people like Plato and Aristotle started, love, this emotion probably comes from the heart. Because like when we think about things and, you know, things happen to us, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, it probably could be, you know, who knows. And so that's it that beguiled the whole fucking world. We're 2,000 years on. It's time for a change, for goodness sake. Love doesn't emanate from the fucking heart. Love doesn't emanate from anywhere. Love doesn't exist save from the fiction. It derives, if it emanates from anywhere, it derives out of the fiction of language and concepts. That's what love is. Try and find it. You can't find it, people. You can pretend that you have it. You can pretend that you project it. You can say, I love ice cream. I love walking on the beach. I love my hamster. I love playing guitar. I love my dog. I love my squirrel. I love nature. I love my grandmother. She's a nice old stick. She's been good to me. I love my wife, husband, partner. I love my kids. I love existence. I love my life. Oh, goodness me. What the fuck do you mean by love? Do you mean like? I like my hamster, I like my squirrel, I like my grandma, I like chocolate, I like walking on the beach. Okay, what's the difference? Well, just symbols, really. There's no difference in the meaning at all. Because we've got degrees of like. People can say, I really, really, really like you. Or someone could say, I love you. Hang on, which carries the most conviction? I love you. Or, I really, really, really like you. Well, why don't you say love? Why don't you cut down, minimise the energy? Why don't you just say, I love you? And do a face with it and give some sort of emotion. Then people might be fooled by that a little bit more than if you say, I love you. It's never done anything. It's never meant anything. To me, it really hasn't. Empty words, people. Empty words. So, when we look for love, when we look for anything, we can't find anything if we use a deductive process, whereby we just go back and back and back and back and back, metaphorically speaking, because there's no back. There's no fucking into the past, and there's no higher or lower, none of this stuff. It's just thoughts within thoughts, isn't it? We're not going anywhere, in actual fact. We're not going nowhere. But if you look, okay, love, how often is it used? In how many categories is it used? Well, it's used so fucking broadly that it doesn't mean anything in the end. And so, well, what about hate? Well, hate's used exactly the same, so broadly, it doesn't really mean anything. Oh, I fucking hate apples. Really? Why do you hate apples? Isn't hate supposed to be a real powerful negative energy? Well, I mean, I don't like them. Oh, so therefore, look what we've done again, people. We've gone from love to like, and now we've gone from hate to like. So all we're doing is just jumping from one fucking pond lily to the other like a demented frog. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. We don't know what the fuck we're saying. We don't know anything about anything. All we've got to do is just apply our minds to it for a split second, and we can see that the whole fucking thing comes tumbling down like a pack of cards, people. So every single concept you can do this with. Concepts are reducible to absolute nothingness. Everything falls down into nothingness from where it came out of. So when they start speaking about everything came from the Big Bang, well, everything came from nothing, they say, don't they? And ultimately, everything's going to go back in nothing. Well, look what I've just been speaking about here. When we look for the root of concepts, we end up in the nothing. And from nothing, if we want to create a concept, then we create it tentatively by, you know, thinking about things and building on things and all this different sort of stuff. We start by going, ooh, ooh, ooh. and then the other fucking pink monkeys go, ooh, 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 and then you go, ooh, ooh, ooh. And eventually, means, and then eventually, means the what, and then you point into something, and then you pick it up maybe, and it's a rock. Oh, this is the. Eventually, you know, we'll kill ourselves into pretending that things mean different things, even though you've got words which are spelt exactly the same, they're pronounced exactly the same, in a different context they'll mean something completely different, right? How many of us have encountered that? Hang on, this word and that word. All this stuff, people, it's just when we accept the fiction. That's all we've done here. We've accepted a fiction. And when people talk about good and bad, we seem to think that there is something called good and bad. But what actually are good and bad? Look into them again for yourselves. What do you think is good? And do you think that's a definitive good? Well, ask 1,000 people, do they think it's good? And they'll go, that ain't fucking good, that's shit. Well, what do you mean that's shit? Well, you may think it's good. Well, what makes me think it's good? Well, because it serves me. I like it. Well, why do you like it? What does it do for you? What does it mean to you? Well, one day when I was 2 years old, my mum gave me one of these. That's why I like it. Well, what is it? It's just a dried up piece of shit. Why did your mother give you a dried up piece of shit? Well, she was blind and she was looking, you know, she dropped a chocolate on the floor and then she was feeling on the floor, but she picked up a piece of shit instead and then she gave me that. But she didn't know, bless her, because she was blind, and so, you know, I kept it. You could think that's a pretty bizarre and ridiculous sort of appraisal of what we're doing here, people. But if we look into the concepts of any given thing, we can see that they're all equally as ridiculous. One word is just equally as ridiculous as the other. Just like love, and just like hate, and just like, and just like dislike, or enjoy, or anything, you just pick at the infusion, the conglomerate of concepts in every single arena. We look around here, and the concept for bookcase, concept for plant, concept for mirror, concept this, that, and the other. And well, what do they mean? Well, we have a symbol. You see, Schopenhauer would say that everything is will and representation. So everything is a will from what is a will? Some sort of energy which emanates from the body, from the mind. And we have a will to work, we have a will to find a partner, we have a will to learn guitar, we have an energy, we have an intention, we have a spirit. Well, will is just another concept. You could supplant will with any fucking thing. Representation, oh, that plant's representation to me. Well, for what? Well, for things that people call plants, from the notion that I once had born in my mind when my mother said, who knocked the plant over? And I'm like, well, something fucking which turned out to be leafy and green is called a plant. And so now, every time I see a plant, it's a representation of my initial thoughts. And sometimes I can build on those thoughts, and over time we do build on the thoughts. Some people build on thoughts, most people don't. Most people will never ever get any further than plant. They won't be able to distinguish one plant from another. They won't learn anything about plants. That's just it. That's where their world ends. Plant, tree, cloud. They won't know nothing about these things, but they think they live in a world. They think their world is real. They think their world is a reality. Well, what do they know? Plant, cloud, house, car, human, me. That's all that's going on, people. There's no substance to it at all. Fucking hellfire. Look at where we've come. Look at what's happened. how many of you are sitting on the edge of your chair here? How many of you are like, fuck, I've never thought about that? How many of you think, oh, I think about these things every fucking day, Aaron? Well, for fuck's sake, you're 1 in a billion if you do. And I would have thought that if you do, then you might have just wanted to put a few fucking fingers on the computer and say, like, you fancy a chat about this stuff? Fucking hell, we're about the only 2 on the fucking planet. Well, fucking hell, the least we could do is have a chat now and again, isn't it? Isn't it? But no, there is nobody like that. There's only me. There's only me. Interesting, isn't it, people? And it's really interesting how very, very few, if any of you, will have anything meaningful to say. Lots of you will put down a complete load of incoherent bollocks without even thinking about it, without even checking your grammar, without even checking your spelling, without even checking the words that you're using, whether you really want to say that, what do those words mean, because you haven't got a fucking clue what these words mean. Good God, no wonder you don't comment. Anyway, people, that's enough for today. So, that's my fucking lesson number 30. Go and think about that fucker for the rest of your lives.